I'm the costume director for Holland High School. I love to dig through books. I've gone through the library, through the Holland Museum looking for patterns. I actually found one. It's called the Hindelopen, and I absolutely fell in love with this. And I thought, how in the world could we ever find something like this out on the streets in Holland, Michigan for our festival? And it really turned into a passion because the researching side of it is so much fun. Just trying to figure out how do we get it from a picture to the costumes. You have to start kind of figuring out what are the different pieces. How many pieces do you want to try to incorporate? Once we have determined as costume directors what it is that we want this costume to look like, what the pieces are, how we put this thing together, then we go and we look at how do we make these patterns. These aren't patterns that you can just go out and buy. We literally have to make every pattern. It's a lot of trial and error, a lot of cut up bed sheets. We want to make sure that we're keeping these costumes, while we're keeping them authentic, we're keeping them as simple as we possibly can. And so after we have all of that research, then I made prototypes. We want to see a sense of uniformity in our costumes. We want them to represent a certain era, and we want them to maintain that authenticity. It's a very time-consuming process. From the beginning, from the very first initiative of looking at that little picture and saying, wow, I would really love to make that costume, to seeing it on the street with the Hindelopen, it took a little over 2 years of research and playing around with the pattern pieces and making the prototypes and just trying to figure all of that out. Some costumes, it takes longer. The costumes that we really work on the patterning for are the costumes that are used by our dancers. I would say there's probably maybe 150 costumes that were made last year. Every costume is custom made to that dancer and to that dancer's specific needs. There is nothing like walking out on the street and seeing someone that you've made a costume for, and they're so proud of how they look and how it wears and how they can dance in it. There is no other feeling like that. It's amazing.